There's a man right now, sitting in a car. He already paid off, parked outside a house that still has his name on the mortgage. And he can't go inside. Not because the door is locked, because everything behind that door became a lie. And the worst part, she's in there right now, telling her mother on the phone that he's the one who gave up. Let that sink in for a second. Because if you felt something just now, a heat in your chest, a tightness in your jaw, it's because you've been that man. Or you know him. Or you're becoming him and you haven't admitted it yet. This isn't a story about divorce. This isn't about lawyers and custody and who gets the doll. This is about something that happens way before the papers get signed. Something quiet. Something that starts in the kitchen on a Tuesday night when she looks at you and you realize she doesn't see you anymore. She sees a function, a provider, a problem she's tired of managing. And you keep showing up. You keep fixing things. You keep swallowing words because you were taught that's what a man does. You hold it together. You absorb it. You tell yourself it's just a rough patch. Until one day, you stop. Not because you're angry. Not because you found someone else. Not because you read some book or watched some video that told you to walk away. You stop because something inside you finally broke. Quiet. The way glass cracks before it shatters. No sound. Just a line appearing where there used to be something solid. And when you finally say, "I'm done," that's when she looks at you, shocked, like you're the villain in this story. How could you do this to us? If any of this sounds familiar, stay with me, because tonight, I want to walk through something that nobody talks about honestly. Not the therapists, not the podcasts, not your boys at the bar. I want to talk about what actually happens when a good man reaches his limit, and the woman who pushed him there rewrites the whole story to make herself the victim. This is going to be uncomfortable for both of us. But if you're still here, I think you already know why. Let me tell you something most people won't say out loud. A man doesn't leave a marriage in one moment. He leaves in 1,000 small ones. And by the time he actually walks out the door, he's already been gone for years. That's the part she never understood. See, there's this idea out there, and it's everywhere, that men leave because they're selfish, because they found someone younger, because they got bored, because they couldn't handle the responsibility. And sure, some men do that. I'm not here to defend every man who ever walked away from his family, but that's not the man I'm talking to right now. I'm talking to the man who stayed too long, the one who kept fixing a house that was burning down from the inside, the one who sat across from her at dinner, trying to have a conversation, and got nothing back but silence and the glow of a phone screen. You know what's funny? People talk about emotional neglect like it's something that only happens to women. Like men don't sit in their own living rooms feeling like ghosts. Like men don't lay awake at night next to someone who hasn't touched them in months. Not even a hand on the shoulder, wondering what they did wrong. But you did that, didn't you? You replayed conversations in your head. You tried different approaches. You came home with flowers that one time and she barely looked up. You suggested a weekend away and she said, "We can't afford it," while scrolling through online shopping carts. And every single time you told yourself the same thing. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not doing enough. So you did more. You worked harder. You came home earlier. You came home later, depending on which one she complained about that week. You read articles on your phone in the bathroom about how to reconnect with your wife. You Googled things no man wants to admit he Googled. And nothing changed. Here's where it gets heavy. There's a moment, and every man who's been through this knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a moment where something shifts inside you. It's not dramatic. There's no fight, no big revelation. It just happens. You're standing in the kitchen, She says something dismissive. Maybe it's about how you loaded the dishwasher. Maybe it's the way you breathed too loud. Something small, something meaningless. And instead of feeling hurt, you feel nothing. That's the moment. That's not anger. That's not resentment. That's your soul quietly packing its bags. That's your heart finally saying, I've been knocking on this door for years and nobody's home. And the tragedy? She won't notice. Not that day. Not that week. Maybe not for months. Because she's been so focused on everything you're doing wrong that she never stopped to notice you were still trying. You know what a man looks like when he's given up. He looks calm. He looks fine. He stops arguing. He stops suggesting. He stops asking, what's wrong? He agrees with everything. He smiles at the right times. And she thinks things are getting better. See? He finally calmed down. He finally stopped being so needy. No, sweetheart. He didn't calm down. He left. He just hasn't told you yet. And that's the cruelest part of this whole thing. Because the man who's still fighting, the one who raises his voice, who gets frustrated, who slams a door once in a while, that man still cares. That man is still in the ring. But the man who goes quiet, that man has already written the ending. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this one. When was the last time she asked you how you were doing? And actually waited for the answer. Not, how was work, while she's sorting mail. Not, are you okay, as a reflex, because you look tired. I mean the kind of question where she puts everything down, looks you in the face, and says, talk to me. What's going on inside you? If you had to think about it for more than 3 seconds, that tells you everything. I once heard a man describe his marriage like this. He said, I felt like I was drowning, but everyone kept telling me the water wasn't that deep. That sentence wrecked me, because that's exactly what it feels like. You're gasping for air, and the person who's supposed to be your lifeline is standing on the shore telling you you're being dramatic. But here's what makes this worse. So much worse. And it's the part that doesn't get enough attention. The rewriting. See, when a man finally reaches his breaking point, when he says the words, when he starts sleeping in the guest room, when he calls a lawyer, something very predictable happens. She panics, but not the way you'd expect. She doesn't say, I see what I did. I understand. I pushed you away. No. She grabs the narrative and she starts editing. She calls her mother. He just gave up on us, out of nowhere. She calls her best friend. I don't know what happened. I thought we were fine. She posts something vague online, something about loyalty or knowing your worth, and the comments flood in. You deserve better. His loss. Stay strong, queen. And just like that, the man who spent years begging to be seen becomes the man who abandoned his family. You want to know what that does to a man? I'll tell you. It doesn't make him angry, not at first. It makes him question himself. All over again. Was I wrong? Did I not try hard enough? Maybe I should have stayed longer, maybe I gave up too soon. That voice, that doubt, it follows him into his new apartment. It sits with him at the table when he eats alone. It whispers to him at 2 a.m. when the bed feels too big and the silence feels too loud. Because a good man doesn't leave and feel free. A good man leaves and feels like he failed. Even when he knows, deep down, in the part of him that still remembers who he was before the marriage broke him. Even when he knows he did everything he could. The guilt doesn't care about facts. The guilt just stays. And meanwhile, she's out there telling a version of the story where she was the one who suffered, where she was the one who held the family together, where she was the one who tried. And maybe she did try. I'm not saying she didn't, but trying and seeing are two different things. You can try to save a marriage and still be blind to the person standing right in front of you. You can try to make it work while making your partner feel invisible every single day. Effort without awareness isn't love. It's just motion. Let me tell you about a word that ruins more marriages than infidelity ever could. Contempt. Not the loud kind. Not the screaming match, plate-throwing kind. I'm talking about the quiet kind. The kind that lives in a sigh, in an eye roll when he's telling a story at dinner, in the way she says, okay, when she really means, I stopped caring about what you think a long time ago. Contempt is the slow poison, and most people don't even know they're drinking it. Here's how it usually starts. At some point, and neither of them can pinpoint when, she starts seeing him differently. Not as the man she fell in love with. Not as the guy who made her laugh until her stomach hurt. But as a list of failures. He doesn't make enough. He doesn't help enough. He doesn't talk enough. He doesn't listen. He doesn't notice. He doesn't plan. He doesn't lead. He doesn't. And the more she focuses on what he isn't, the less she can see what he is. He's the man who gets up at 5 in the morning without complaining. He's the one who checks the tires on her car before winter. He's the one who sits with his kid at the kitchen table doing math homework, even though he hates math. He's the man who says nothing when she spends $300 on things they don't need. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't want another fight. But none of that registers anymore. Because contempt has a filter, and once it's on, it distorts everything. A man can build a house with his bare hands, and the woman who holds him in contempt will walk through the front door and complain about the paint color. That's what contempt does. It makes the extraordinary invisible. It makes sacrifice look like obligation. It makes love look like routine. And here's the part that nobody warns you about. Contempt is contagious. When she starts treating him with quiet disdain, something happens to him. Not right away, not in the first month, but slowly, like rust on iron. He starts pulling back. He talks less. He shares less. He stops making plans because what's the point? She's going to criticize them anyway. He stops offering opinions because his opinions became wrong somewhere around year 3. He stops initiating intimacy because rejection stopped being painful and started being humiliating. And she notices this. She does. But instead of asking herself what changed, she says, "See? This is what I mean. He doesn't put in any effort." Let me say that again because it's important. She creates the distance, then blames him for not crossing it. And that cycle, that invisible destructive cycle, it can go on for years, 5 years, 10, 20. I've talked to men who lived in that cycle for decades before they realized what was happening. Because here's the thing about being in a marriage with someone who holds you in contempt. You start to believe you deserve it. You internalize it. You absorb her disappointment and carry it like it's yours. You start thinking, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm the reason this isn't working. And that, right there, that's the most dangerous place a man can be. Not because he might leave, but because he might stay. He might stay and lose himself completely. He might stay and become a shadow of the person he used to be. He might stay and teach his sons that love looks like shrinking. He might stay and teach his daughters that this is how you treat a man who gives you everything. I want to be very clear about something. I'm not saying every wife is the villain. I'm not saying men are always the victims. Marriages are complicated, people are complicated, pain is complicated. But what I am saying, and I'll say it as plainly as I can, is that there's a kind of suffering that good men endure in silence. A kind of erasure that happens so slowly, so quietly, that by the time anyone notices, the man they knew is already gone. And the world doesn't talk about that. The world talks about what men do wrong. The world builds entire industries around fixing men, improving men, teaching men how to be better partners. But very rarely does someone stop and ask, what did she do to the man who was already trying? That question doesn't get asked enough. Tonight it does. There's a scene that plays out in almost every broken marriage, and it always happens the same way. He finally says it, out loud, maybe at the kitchen table, maybe in the car, maybe in bed, staring at the ceiling, voice barely above a whisper. I'm not happy. 3 words, that's all. And the way she responds to those 3 words and tells you everything about where the marriage actually is. If she stops, if she turns to him, if something in her face softens and she says, tell me what you mean, then maybe there's still a bridge. Maybe there's still something to walk back to. But most of the time, that's not what happens. Most of the time, she hears those words and immediately goes to war. You're not happy? You think I'm happy? Do you have any idea what I deal with every day? You get to go to work and come home and sit on the couch. I'm the one running this entire household. I'm the one keeping everything together while you complain about being unhappy. And just like that, his vulnerability becomes a weapon used against him. Think about what that does to someone. A man spends months, maybe years, building up the courage to be honest about his pain. He's not asking for a medal. He's not looking for sympathy. He's doing the thing every therapist, every book, every podcast tells him to do. Communicate, be open, share your feelings. And the one time he does, he gets punished for it. So what does he learn? He learns that his feelings are inconvenient, that his pain is less valid than hers, that the door he thought was open was actually a trap, and he will never knock on that door again. You know what the real epidemic is in modern marriages? It's not cheating. It's not money problems. It's not even falling out of love. It's the death of emotional safety. When a man no longer feels safe enough to be honest with the woman he married, the marriage is already over. The paperwork just hasn't caught up yet. That's not weakness. That's not fragile masculinity. That's a human being who opened his chest and got stabbed for it. And now, he's learned to keep the armor on. Even in his own home. Especially in his own home. Let me take this somewhere deeper. Because this isn't just about one fight or one conversation. This is about a pattern. A rhythm that sets in so gradually, you don't even feel it until it's been running your life for years. It goes like this. He tries. She dismisses. He pulls back. She complains. He tries again. She criticizes the way he tried. He gives up. She tells everyone he stopped caring. Round and round and round. And every rotation chips away a piece of who he was. A piece of his confidence, his sense of worth, his identity. Until one day he looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize himself. He used to have opinions. Now he just agrees. He used to have dreams. Now he just works. He used to laugh, really laugh, the kind where your whole body shakes. And now he can't remember the last time that happened. And here's the thing that breaks my heart the most. She fell in love with that man, the one with the opinions and the dreams and the laughter. She chose him. She said yes to him. She stood across from him and promised forever to that version of him. And then she spent years dismantling him, piece by piece. Not with malice, I don't believe that, but with blindness, with carelessness, with the quiet assumption that he would always be there, no matter how she treated him. She mistook his loyalty for weakness. She mistook his patience for indifference. She mistook his silence for peace. And when the man she married finally disappeared, she looked around and wondered where he went. I'll tell you where he went. He went somewhere inside himself that she can't reach. A place he built out of necessity. A quiet room with no windows where he keeps what's left of who he used to be. That's where good men go when they can't leave and they can't stay. They disappear, not physically. They're still at the table, still at the kids' games, still mowing the lawn on Saturday. But the man, the real one, he's gone. And she's living with his ghost. I want to talk about the day after. Not the day after the divorce, not the day after he moves out. I mean the day after he makes the decision inside his own mind. The day after the switch flips and there's no flipping it back, because that day is the loneliest day of a man's life. He wakes up next to her. Same bed, same ceiling fan spinning the same lazy circles, same smell of coffee drifting in from the kitchen timer. Everything looks exactly the same, but nothing is. He looks at her sleeping and feels something he's never felt before. Not anger, not sadness, not even relief. Distance, like he's watching someone he used to know from across a room. Like she's a photograph of a person he once loved, and the photograph is fading, and he doesn't have the energy to hold on to it anymore. He gets up, brushes his teeth, pours his coffee, drives to work, answers emails, smiles when someone tells a joke in the break room. And nobody knows that this man decided last night, somewhere between staring at the wall and hearing her complain about something he already forgot, that it's over. There's no explosion, no dramatic exit, no bags packed by the front door, just a man carrying the heaviest secret of his life in complete silence. And he'll carry it for weeks, maybe months, because he's not the kind of man who acts on impulse. He's the kind who plans, who thinks about the kids, who calculates what he can afford, who worries about what people will say. He doesn't want to destroy anything. He just wants to stop being destroyed. And during those weeks, that quiet, invisible purgatory, something strange happens. He starts noticing things he stopped seeing a long time ago. The way the sun hits the kitchen floor in the morning, the sound of his daughter laughing in the other room, the way his son looks at him when he helps with homework, like he's the smartest man in the world. And it hits him, not like a wave, like a crack in a dam. He's not just losing a wife. He's about to fracture a whole world, a world he built, a world he'd die for. And the fact that she forced him to this point, the fact that her carelessness brought them here, that's the thing he'll never fully forgive. Not her, himself, for not speaking up sooner, for not drawing the line earlier, for waiting until the damage was so deep that there was nothing left to save. You know what a man thinks about in those weeks? He thinks about his father. He thinks about whether his old man went through the same thing and just never said it. He thinks about those nights when his dad sat in the garage a little too long, or drove around the block one more time before pulling into the driveway. He wonders if that was the same silence, the same weight, the same invisible war. And he realizes, maybe it was. Maybe this has been going on for generations, men swallowing their truth because nobody taught them it was okay to speak it. Fathers teaching sons, not with words but with silence, that love means enduring, that strength means absorbing, that being a man means taking it all and asking for nothing in return. But here's where the story changes, and I need you to hear this part. Because everything I've said tonight could lead you to one conclusion, that this is hopeless, that men are doomed to suffer quietly and women will never understand. That's not what I'm saying. That's not where this is going. What I'm saying is this. The cycle breaks when someone decides to see it. And right now, you're seeing it. Maybe for the first time. Maybe you've sensed it for years but never had the language for it. Maybe you're sitting in your car right now, listening to this, and something in your chest is saying, "That's me." If that's where you are, then you need to know something. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not failing. You're waking up. And what you do next, not tomorrow, not next month, but in the quiet space between hearing this and going back to your life, what you do next matters more than anything you've done in the last 10 years. Not because you need to leave, not because you need to stay, but because you need to stop disappearing. The man you buried under all that silence, he's still in there, and he's been waiting for you to come get him. Before I go any further, I want to stop here for a second, not to make a point, not to build to something clever, just to say something honest. If you've been listening this far, it's not by accident. You didn't stumble into this. Something in these words found you. Maybe it found you at exactly the right time. Maybe at the worst time. But it found you, and you stayed. That tells me something about you. It tells me you're not the kind of man who runs from the truth, even when the truth tastes like rust in your mouth. Even when it would be easier to close the app and pretend you never heard any of this. You stayed. And that matters. So if you want more conversations like this, honest, no sugarcoating, no games, no one trying to sell you a better version of yourself, then subscribe to this channel. Not because I'm asking you to, but because you already know you belong here. This is the room where men don't have to perform, where you can just listen and be heard. That's all I'll say about that. And one more thing. If you're carrying something right now that feels too heavy to hold alone, there's a link in the description. It's not a product. It's a conversation with someone who's trained to listen. That's all. No judgment. Just someone on the other side. Because sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is ask for help. And before we go further, if this is hitting you the way I think it is, do something small for me. Hit the like button. Not for the algorithm. For the next man who's sitting in his car right now searching for something he can't name. Your like helps him find this. Subscribe if you haven't. And when this is over, leave a comment. One sentence. Your truth. You'd be surprised how much it means to the stranger who reads it at 2 in the morning. Now let me take you somewhere we haven't gone yet. Let's talk about her side. I know. Stay with me. Because if I only tell this story from his perspective, I'm doing the same thing I'm accusing her of, seeing only one half and calling it the whole truth. Here's what I think happens to a lot of women in long marriages. And I don't say this with anger. I say it with the kind of clarity that only comes after you've been on both sides of the damage. She's tired too. Not the same kind of tired. Not the silent, invisible kind that he carries. But a different kind. The kind that comes from feeling like she's managing everything. The mental load, the appointments, the groceries, the kids' schedules, the emotional temperature of the house, the holidays, the birthdays, the things nobody notices until they don't get done. She's been carrying that weight for years, and somewhere along the way, she started keeping score. Not on paper. In her body, in the tension in her shoulders, in the sharpness of her voice when she says, "fine," and means anything but. And the more she carried, the more she resented him for not carrying the same way, not realizing that he was carrying his own weight, just in a language she never learned to read. That's the tragedy of it. Two people, both drowning, both convinced the other one is standing on dry land. He thinks she doesn't see him. She thinks he doesn't help her. He pulls away because he feels unappreciated. She gets sharper because she feels unsupported. He goes quiet. She fills the silence with criticism. And they both end up standing in the rubble of something that could have been saved. If either one of them had just said, "I see you. I know you're trying. And I'm sorry I made you feel like it wasn't enough." But nobody says that. Because by the time they're deep enough in the cycle, every word feels like a risk. Every conversation feels like a minefield. And both of them are so exhausted from protecting themselves that they've forgotten how to reach for each other. I want to be very honest here. I don't think most women who destroy their marriages do it on purpose. I think they do it the same way most men let their marriages die, by not paying attention to the thing that matters most. Connection, not love. Love can exist without connection. You can love someone from across an ocean of silence. You can love someone and still make them feel completely alone. Connection is different. Connection is, I see you, right now. Not the version of you I wish you were. Not the version I married. Not the version I'm trying to fix. You. The tired, imperfect, trying his best you. That's what dies first in a broken marriage. Not love, connection, and once it's gone, love turns into something else. Something heavy. Something that hurts more than it heals. Something that keeps you in a room with someone who makes you feel more alone than being by yourself ever could. So when he finally walks away, when the good man finally says, "I can't do this anymore," it's not because he stopped loving her. It's because the love stopped being enough to cover the wound. And she'll call it abandonment. She'll call it betrayal. She'll tell everyone he gave up. But what he'll know, what he'll carry quietly for the rest of his life, is something much simpler. He didn't leave because he was weak. He left because staying was killing him, and he chose to live. So here we are, at the end of something, or maybe at the beginning. Depends on where you're listening from. If you're the man who already left, the one sleeping in a half-empty apartment with a suitcase he hasn't fully unpacked, I want you to know something. You didn't fail. I know it feels like you did. I know there are mornings when you wake up and the first thought isn't about freedom or relief. It's about the sound of your kids' footsteps running down the hallway. A hallway you don't live in anymore. I know that sound haunts you. But leaving a place where you were disappearing is not failure. It's the hardest kind of survival there is. The kind nobody gives you credit for. The kind nobody throws a parade for. The kind where you have to grieve and rebuild at the same time, carrying the bricks of a new life in one hand and the ashes of the old one in the other. And if you're the man who's still in it, still in the house, still at the table, still lying next to her at night wondering if this is all there is, I'm not going to tell you to leave. And I'm not going to tell you to stay. That's your call. And it always was. But I will tell you this. Whatever you decide, decide it as the man you actually are. Not the man she says you are. Not the man her mother thinks you are. Not the man the world expects you to be. You, the one who's been buried under years of silence and obligation and guilt and quiet, invisible devotion that nobody ever acknowledged. That man still has a voice, and it's time he used it. Not to scream, not to blame, not to win an argument, just to say the truth. Simply, clearly, without apology. This is who I am. This is what I need. And I am no longer willing to be invisible in my own life. That sentence, spoken once with conviction, will change everything, whether the marriage survives it or not. I think about all the men listening to this right now, in trucks, in offices, on couches after everyone else went to sleep, earbuds in, volume low, making sure nobody hears what they're listening to. And I think this is how broken things start to heal. Not in therapy offices or self-help seminars, but in the quiet moments when someone finally says the thing you've been feeling but couldn't find the words for. That's all this was tonight. Words for the thing you already knew. I'm not going to wrap this up with a lesson. There's no 5-step plan, no checklist, no do this and your marriage will be saved. That's not what this is. This is just a man talking to another man in the dark, saying, I've been where you are, and the ground on the other side is solid, uneven, unfamiliar, but solid. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. You just have to stop pretending you're fine. She destroyed the marriage, then blamed him for leaving. That's the title. That's the story a lot of you are living right now. But here's what I want you to remember. Long after this video ends, long after the algorithm moves on and something else fills your screen, the story doesn't end with her version. It ends with yours, and you haven't written it yet. Now do something for me. Send this to 6 people, not randomly. You know exactly who needs to hear this tonight. The buddy who went quiet, the brother who seems fine, the coworker who changed and nobody asked why. Send it to him. Don't say anything. Just send the link. He'll understand. And in the comments, tell me your story. Not for me, for you. Sometimes the first time you say it out loud is the first time it becomes real. And if you can't tell the people in your life, tell the strangers here who understand. And if you have an idea for what we should talk about next, leave that too. Because this isn't my channel. It's ours. One more thing before I go. Next time, I want to talk about something most people pretend doesn't exist inside a marriage. The moment you look at the person lying next to you, the person you built everything with, and you realize you don't know them anymore. Not because they changed, but because they finally stopped pretending. That one's going to be heavy. Maybe heavier than tonight. But I think you can handle it. You've made it this far. Stay honest. Stay aware. I'll talk to you soon.